It all started back in 1999, when some friends in Toronto from a bunch of different bands got together to play some music.
We just happened to have this real great fortune of this talent pool that, you know, was sort of all for one and one for all.
More than a decade later, this talent pool, together known as Broken Social Scene, boasts such successful acts as Stars, Metric, and Feist.
If you have ever come to see a Broken Social Scene show or listen to the music, I mean, it's often prone to this epicness. Forgiveness Rock Record is another chapter in that sort of line of thinking.
Forgiveness Rock Record is Broken Social Scene's fourth album. With such an expansive entourage, the story of how the internationally acclaimed group came to be is just as epic.
As a general sort of movement that we kind of put together, we were doing it for the right reasons. You know, we were doing it for the love of the music. We were doing it to break out of a very, very, very structured mold.
When Kevin and I started, it was sort of going back to that initial idea of just, yeah, let's just hang out and make some music and not worrying about how you're going to market it. That's the key to our success.
Part of that success included starting their own independent music label. In 2001, Kevin Drew co-founded Arts and Crafts with Jeffrey Remedios. Through it all, friendship and community remained at the heart of the group's philosophy.
It was just this community of people in and around Toronto working with music and working with art. Photographers and filmmakers and journalists, all just interested in music and turning inwards and looking at the local community, and Broken quickly became at the center of that.
Stuart Berman is one of those journalists. He's the author of Broken Social Scene's biography, This Book is Broken.
Brendan Canning and Jason Collette, they all sort of had run-ins with that major label world and then got sort of spit out of the machine on the other end, and they were sort of feeling dejected and kind of disillusioned with the whole business of making music. So they sort of retreated and just wanted to make music for themselves. And so you had a whole bunch of people who went through the same thing all coming together in Broken Social Scene, and just, you know, I think the genuine aspect of their music really resonated with people.
In the 1990s, Canning made a name for himself playing in a Toronto band called Head. They caused such a buzz stateside that it landed them a major record deal with the now defunct American label IRS. After Head's demise, Canning joined another local group called By Divine Right, which included Leslie Feist on guitar. Around the same time, Kevin Drew and Charles Spearman were making music together under the moniker Casey Accidental.
Brendan sort of was courting me because he met me through a friend, and he heard these Casey Accidental records I made with Charles.
And I jokingly said, maybe I'll make that kid a star.
Brendan was like, I need to do something, and this kid's got something.
I had just got some money from Len for doing my talking part on Steal My Sunshine. And I bought a couple of pedals that really became our go-to pedals to sort of formulating the sound of Feel Good Lost. So that was kind of where it all began.
Broken Social Scene debuted on the indie rock scene in 2001 with Feel Good Lost. Not long afterward, Canning and Drew invited a bunch of their musician friends into the group, including Leslie Feist, Andrew Whiteman, Amy Millan, Jason Collette, and Emily Haynes. In 2002, they released a breakthrough record, You Forgot It in People, which earned the band their first Juno Award.
We tried to put our thrusters on and push this thing into orbit, and the record caught gravity on its own.
A little something called the internet came along right as our, anger was peaking.
Pitchfork being a large webzine and based out of Chicago, they picked up on You Forgot It in People very early, and that really seemed to, pour gasoline on the fire.
You Forgot It in People became a launchpad for rising solo artists and bands within the collective, and in 2006, Broken Social Scene won another Juno Award for their self-titled third album. These days, the star-studded pack has dispersed somewhat due to personal successes.
It's really this elastic entity, and the whole Broken Social Scene gang is a bit like that for me, and all of us have this common thread of not really, we don't throw our anchor down, because then you just have to rip it up again in a second and keep moving.
Busy schedules aside, when it came time to recording the new record after a 5-year hiatus, Canning and Drew managed to rally up the all-star troupe. The difference this time around with Forgiveness Rock Record was that it was written by the band's current core 6 members.
We had to figure out how to kind of become a band again without those people, and Canning and I went off and made our own records and formed a band. But in 2008, when Canning's record came out, Andrew Whiteman did return, Charles Scheer did return. It was really the 6 of us, and we toured all over the world. What happened was there became a sense of us wanting to do this again. That's how we came into making this record. And the funniest thing is now on this album, I think there's 31 people who ended up on it, which I think is our biggest list so far.